Hi, everyone. It's Sharna. This is episode 2 in a 3-part documentary series that tells the story of the first year of building a brand new tango community in Long Beach, California. If you missed episode 1, you'll definitely want to go back and start at the beginning. And if you're ready for episode 2, welcome back and enjoy. The Tango Waits For You. Episode 2, Alter Society.
I honestly didn't have any clue what it exactly was or how established it was, or if it was just some spur of the moment, fly by the seat of your pants. We're going to try this. We're going to attempt it, and Mike said there's going to be a group upstairs that's going to dance and they're going to come down and eat. And I'm like, okay. So there was no build up or or a heads up, like a week before or a couple of weeks before, with what was going to go on or what was supposed to happen. But I think it's a great idea. It's a great concept.
That's Chase, the Wednesday night bartender at Alter.
My favorite TV show growing up was Cheers. And so being in this business, I've wanted it to be a place, no matter where I'm at, where everybody knows your name, and everybody has that. They come in and they feel like they're at home or they're walking into someone's living room, and I want to project that. And so it's neat when I have guests, like you guys specifically, that get that or feel that and then respond based on that.
From that very first night, Alter staff made us feel like we belonged there. When I walked in, I looked up at the menu of craft beers and saw that one of their best-selling IPAs was called, I kid you not, Tango Haze. For the record, they did not name that beer for us, but it just had to be a sign that we were in the right place. I met Jubin, Marisa, Paolo, and Karen at the bar, plus a few new students who had seen our poster in the window. Then we headed upstairs for class. In that spacious, elegant room, I became a tango teacher again. It felt more real now that we were in a public venue. The formality gave me the clear role of teacher, and it was surprisingly easy to step back into it, natural, like I'd never left. Because access to this beautiful space had been a gift, I decided to offer the class on a donation basis. But I didn't expect the feeling of freedom that came with that choice. When students pay a fee for class, there's some need to establish value or meet an expectation of value, even if it's subtle. There's nothing wrong with paying for classes, and in the world we live in, it's usually necessary. But it does influence the teacher-student relationship to some extent. Instead, I found myself choosing only what I thought would be fun and effective to teach, both for myself and for the students. When I told another mostly retired tango colleague about this later, he immediately got it. He said, "Wow, that must be pure joy." And it was. After class, we came back downstairs for pizza and drinks. After all, this group had come together at a meetup event, so the social part of the evening was equally important, maybe even more important than the class itself. And this was why Alter Society was such a perfect fit for us. Alter has lots of movable family-style tables. They have shareable food like pizza and really good fries. And unlike most bars in Los Angeles, the staff goes out of their way to make you feel at home. Here's Karen.
I've liked the combination. It wasn't a natural one for me, I think. And it was natural in the sense that if someone offers a space, you want to repay that business. I want to put a lot into that business and out of gratitude. So it was a given that we were going to purchase food each time, food or drink or food or drink each time. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't be having pizza every Wednesday at 9 p.m. or whatever. That wouldn't be normal for me, but I enjoy it.
The first class had 7 people. The third class had 12 people. The numbers went up and down for a while, but by the time we got to March, we had launched our own official meetup group, Long Beach Tango. To make it clear that this was about a fun evening together and not only a tango class, Jubin and I decided to call the Wednesday night event Tango and Pizza, giving equal weight to both parts. Here's Jubin.
This is actually something I feel a lot of meetups, and then not just like meetups, but like get-togethers with your friend that misses out. Like you go to a movie, you do something, you watch this movie, and then suddenly everybody goes home, or you go to a concert, and it's, I mean, yeah, like weirdly enough, I actually kind of compare this to sex in the way where like you don't just want to do the thing and then it's over and then you go your separate ways. You know, you kind of sit there, there's like cuddling, there's other things involved. And it's the same thing with like interactions. You know, you spent this thing and now you kind of talk about it. There's like a whole level of bonding and a whole level of like enjoyment that comes after doing something, which you completely miss out if you don't have that second part. So no, I think that works perfectly. And I think more things need to have that. You don't just go to something and then go home, in my opinion.
Here's Marisa.
Dancing with everyone. I mean, it's a combination of being there and seeing people. I think this is my new base of friends. I've already planned to rent a van and we'll go somewhere for the weekend. So y'all are stuck with me. I just, I like to be around them, and you're creative, and so are some of the others on there and in there. And like Jubin, he's just so easygoing. And I was talking about sailing so much that he took the classes and he likes it. So I told him, keep going. We'll have some adventures.
Week after week, more new folks started showing up, and Alter staff started talking it up with regulars who came into the bar. Here's Zarin, one of those regulars.
I just wanted to meet new people. I've always loved dancing. So at the bar that I go to, the Alter, I just saw a sign that said tango dancing, and I thought, let's throw caution to the wind and try it.
Here's Rosie, who lives in the neighborhood.
I've always been interested in partner dancing, and tango is my chosen favorite to watch. Obviously, I'm not good at it yet. So watching it, it just speaks to me the most when it comes to partner dancing. So when I happened to see it on my feed on a Tuesday afternoon for Instagram from Alter Society, I, of course, looked at it closely, looked at the time and date. And I'm like, that's tomorrow. There's nothing going on tomorrow. I'm going to go.
From a teaching perspective, a drop-in class is the most challenging format. You never know how many people will be there from week to week, and the levels are extremely varied. In a typical tango program, a drop-in class is a funnel for a series of progressively more advanced classes. But all we had was a drop-in class, so I had to make it work. Here's Zarin again.
First class, I was pretty nervous, and I didn't know what I was kind of getting into. But it was very smooth, and what I liked about it is that, from my memory, is, it's not like I was joining a professional dance class where everyone's leaps and bounds over me. It was nice to kind of have, we had beginners, we had people that had been there for a while, and people that had been there for a while, they're super kind and super nice where, like, hey, this is a good step. This is, maybe focus a little bit more doing this, when you get out of it. So those are kind of my first impressions.
For a while, I kept reviewing the basics, and I worried a lot that the original four might be getting bored with rock steps, weight changes, and side steps. But they knew that our larger mission together was to build community and make real friendships. We wanted people to feel welcome no matter what, even if they missed a week or 3 weeks or even longer. And in that mission, we seemed to be succeeding. Here's Chase, the bartender again.
There's an impressive level of camaraderie based on the fact that you don't necessarily know each other that well. And I don't know if that comes from the intimacy of dancing or the fact that you kind of are letting yourself, or you're putting yourself out there in maybe a situation that isn't extremely comfortable for you. So you're being vulnerable. So that's allowed the group to maybe connect more quickly or on a faster rate and pace than in a normal situation. But it does seem like it's a class of people that have known each other for a while. And I don't think any of the newcomers feel left out by any means. Like, I think that's really special. Like, because you have, obviously it's growing and it grows and the number is getting bigger and bigger. But each time somebody new comes, it feels like there's this easy transition of them just kind of flowing in with you guys. Every time I approach the table, it's literally like I'm serving my family, or I could be serving my family. You know, like there's just that banter. It's almost like, you know, there's cousin so-and-so and there's my nephew and, you know, there's my daughter and her friends, that kind of thing. So like, it's that kind of energy with your table.
It took me a while to understand why, but using this 2-part model actually made me feel different as a teacher than I had before. Less depleted, more energized, despite the unpredictability of the drop-in class. Here's what I think was happening. Upstairs during class, I'm in charge, and I take care of everyone. My relationship to the others is formally defined as teacher-student. I love teaching, but it is work. It takes energy and focus. When we go downstairs, I stop being the teacher. I become one of the group, another guest in the bar, and altar staff take care of all of us. In tango terms, I get to switch roles from leading to following. And it was such a relief to do that and be seen as a person again. In retrospect, it was one of the things I struggled with when I ran my school in DC, when I felt like I was on all the time and didn't have the chance to give myself what I needed. Now, it was really clear that I was only a teacher for an hour, and then I was just me again. I could enjoy being part of a tango community in a personal way, too. And because I had more space to breathe, I could see more clearly what this new community needed next. And what they needed next was tango shoes. Here's Paolo.
Well, when the shoe showed up at the door, you know, Amazon delivered, it was, okay, I'm a pro now, or I could become one, or I am part of the scene. You know, it's things change once you have the shoes in your house, you know. I can say I have tango shoes, and those and they do make a difference, because obviously you want shoes that can slide. I think that's another thing that you learn with tango. You have to relearn how to walk. Everybody thinks, well, I know how to walk. It turns out we don't really think too much how we walk, and to walk at a specific speed, with a specific distance, you know, with purpose, with beauty. Sometimes it's not just a step. Sometimes it's more slide. So there is good amount of sliding and not just stepping. So having the bottom of the shoe that doesn't stick makes a big difference. There is a technical advantage, you know, and I can use any technical advantage I can get. So definitely go with the shoes if you are doing this.
It was necessary to level up a little bit, and I'm enjoying them. I like them. Well, and that they're dedicated shoes, right?
Yeah.
I think there's something about that too, of having this, not a uniform even, but there's a reverence for them, because they're only used in this space. They're not used outside, and they're not used in all indoor spaces either. It's only tango class. So I think it's kind of a part of a ritual, right? You put on your tango, your dedicated tango shoes, and you get into the headspace for the dance. It's also I'm trying to use that to separate chatting with everyone and saying hi and getting ready to enter the dance floor, which is then a different way of socializing. And then you remove the shoes, and it's like, okay, now you're back in this social realm. So I think if I can see them as part of a ritual, maybe that also shapes the practice and appropriate interactions in each part.
I'd say it actually was kind of a big deal. You brought it up a couple of weeks before I actually bought them. In some ways, I was just showing, like, not just showing up, but going to classes, and it was fun. I feel buying the pair of tango shoes really brought this to another level. Okay, like, I'm serious about this, and I'm excited about them. And every time now that I'm putting them on, it's like, yes, okay, we're dancing.
The group was growing. We now had 10 to 15 people almost every week. And despite the friendly atmosphere, I kept asking myself, how could I improve the learning experience in this unconventional setup? When my friend Megan offered to come down from Inglewood to help teach, first I was amazed because driving in LA is the worst. And then, of course, I was incredibly grateful. With a larger group, an extra teacher would make a huge difference. We could demonstrate the dance more clearly and also give personal attention to twice as many people.
I get a lot of pleasure out of being able to tell somebody something that shortcuts a bunch of trial and error that they would have to. I mean, not everything that comes out of your mouth always lands on somebody in some like miraculous way, but sometimes it does, and you like help them kind of make a discovery that takes their dance forward or like increases their experience of the dance.
Megan runs her own tango studio, and we share a common perspective on tango as a method of community building.
Yeah, I think I find it very, that it's like an antidote to a lot of the ways that I see our culture and societal systems kind of failing us, in the sense of knowing how to like rely and trust each other, move together harmoniously, literally just the physical touch. As somebody who's single and doesn't have kids, boy, I can't imagine, like, it's just so nice. I still get to touch a lot of people, and that feels important just for me feeling happy and like a whole human being. I see what that does for other people to like, keep open a place in which people get to come and literally be in physical contact with other adults. I think it makes us kinder. I think it makes us more thoughtful, better at conflict, just better at like being in relationship to other human beings.
And how about your experience of pizza afterwards?
Yeah.
The social experience. How was that for you?
It feels very ritualistic to me in a way. Like, it's not like we're talking about really heavy things or anything, but just to connect and make conversation with, a person that I would not spend time with otherwise. Yeah, I like that. I really value it. And again, like, when you get to know people better, you just feel more comfortable with them. And what am I trying to say? Like, just get better at communicating. And that does, I think it translates back and forth between the dance to the talking to the dance. Back again.
Incredibly, more of my friends started showing up to help. Longtime dancers who lived in other parts of LA. I didn't even know how to feel about this at first. The generosity of it was overwhelming. I felt so moved by their willingness to drive through traffic, make time for this in the middle of their week. It was as if they knew how important it was to me even before I did. Here's Karen again, who happens to be an anthropologist by trade.
I wouldn't expect very skilled dancers to show up to a beginner class made up of a ragtag group of people that didn't really seek out tango, right? That's probably not how they want to spend their dance time. But I get the sense that they're also there because of community. So in that pizza session, when you can ask questions about how do you know, Sharna, how did you come to this? It's because you created community in DC before and they're part of that. And there's a gratitude for that. And so it's sort of a giving back. And I know that for Francesca and Dawn, like they're, who lost a home in the fires, like then you're providing a support network for that. And that's also like, okay, it's this, before we were recording, I was thinking about it as this sort of stone soup thing, like everyone contributes something. And it's true for the beginning of the tango group, but it's also true for the participation now. So it's layers of different communities that are now overlapping. And that's what community does, I think. When community works best, I think it is these, you start small and everyone can kind of share their communities and it ends up being that safety net for things beyond dance, right? So, the fire is an extreme example, but you think like, who can you count on? And there's sometimes, and even talking about like joining meetups to meet adult friends, like those are thoughts I've had before, like as an adult, like, okay, in this space, I have all these friends from the past that I adore and they live in different parts of the country. But if I need something right here, right now, who could I really rely on? And it probably wouldn't be the colleague friends because there's some weird boundaries with the colleagues, right? But I was able to rely on my dance communities in the past. And I've obviously, your dance community is relying on you. And so I think that creative forms, community matched with creative forms of expression allow for people to reach out in vulnerability, because even being in the dance requires some degrees of vulnerability, trying on something you're not good at, that you're I'm a teacher, and I think it's very useful to be a teacher learning something you're not great at for the first time, to remember what it is to be, how the students are, right? Like, it's not that I don't like it. It's not that I'm dedicated. It's like, I just, it's new to me and I'm learning, and that's a helpful reminder. So I just think, we came to this as community. It's working. It's overlapping different communities. Many of us went to Dawn's play, so I just think it's reciprocal in many ways, not in like a transactional way, but people like to contribute and support folks who've been supportive to them.
Karen mentioned my friends Dawn and Francesca, who had learned some tango with me back in DC and who later moved to LA after me. Specifically, they moved to Altadena, the site of the massive Eaton fire, which broke out the exact same week we started dancing at Alter Society. They returned from a holiday vacation to learn that their home and studio were in the evacuation zone. The building was still standing, but it was full of smoke. So I helped them find a place to stay in Long Beach and invited them to Tango and Pizza on Wednesdays. Here's Francesca.
I think it was like middle of February, actually, that I came. And I walked upstairs because, of course, I was late as usual by a few minutes. And there was this beautiful gathering of people, small group of people in this beautiful space. And it was just so lovely because, being in class as a beginner, as an adult, there's more consequences in terms of not knowing something. So people are afraid to be beginners as adults. It's also this idea of like a fresh start and throwing everything away that and being in a class with other people who are beginners, it's like a safe space. And after experiencing the fires and being uprooted and being displaced, it felt like home. When you are physically removed, like far away from where your community is, it's very stressful, very disorienting, very, confusing. And it is really important to have community. And tango kind of offers an instant community because you're speaking the same language and you're with like-minded people, because it does attract a certain crowd. And so you immediately have a way to connect where you feel like you're floundering out in the middle of nowhere. You have a way to connect emotionally, physically, which is very grounding. The physical connection is like one of the most grounding things. So I think it's extremely important.
Because it's how I myself learned, I have always taught both leading and following roles to everyone in my beginner classes. That means that anyone can lead or follow regardless of gender. I built it into the DC school curriculum, not only for pedagogical reasons, but also to encourage equity, empathy, and open communication. This approach seemed to be a strong cultural match for Long Beach, which on the whole is a very progressive, diverse population.
I like it very much. I think I probably would have been more hesitant if we didn't have that. I have enough power struggles in my life elsewhere. Having to, take up the space that's sometimes denied me or cede space that's given to me without reason. And so this is a very nice, equitable, even. Everyone will try all the parts. You won't be good at this and bad at this. Like, no, everybody, you don't depend on anybody fully. You give as much as you will get back. And I think that's also sort of a metaphor for right now. Like we need, it reflects the community aspects of the roots of this group. Mm-hmm. And that equity is something that's been very nice. I really liked the fact that there's been no pushback that I've seen or heard about people dancing with someone from the same gender. And I think so many spaces that would be a joke, would be an issue, would be something. And it's just not. Like, this is a dancer and you're a dancer and you're going to learn what it is to dance with this person and this person and this person. So I think that that's a rare find, and it's a space where I don't feel those same tensions of having to vie for status.
Teachers who don't switch roles in class tend to spend a lot of time arranging for the same number of men and women to show up, or at least the same number of people dancing in each role. In some places, you can't even join a class if you don't already have a partner. Because our drop-in class was so unpredictable, another great benefit of teaching both roles was to eliminate any concern for role balance or gender balance. It just didn't matter who came each week or what their gender might be. Everyone danced with everyone, and even those who found this a bit surprising got used to it quickly.
I think another thing that was totally new and unexpected was the very first time you are paired with another person. And not just another person, in my case, with another man. And I had never done that before, say, oh, now you dance with that person. And there is that moment where your brain has to readjust. I say, I don't know how I feel about this. I definitely don't want to feel good about dancing with another man. On the other hand is, well, you're there, you just go with the flow. And then as soon as you start dancing and, putting to practice the techniques, it doesn't matter that it's another man or a woman, and suddenly it becomes, again, it gets back to be a game and it's fun. And sometimes you are in the role of the leader, sometimes in the follower. And just after a couple of minutes of trying that, you find yourself say, oh, let's try this again, which is a phrase I would never think I would say to another man. Oh, let's do this again. Let's try to do the side step and initiate the ocho movement or something like that. And then when things goes at the right timing, we all have fun. It's great.
As Paolo mentioned, role switching does a lot to diminish any invisible gender hierarchy or default dating dynamic. It focuses the class on learning something together as friends and as one whole team. And that's what it felt like. Here's Rosie again.
To be a leader is a little intimidating. One of the things I like about partner dancing was that I'd get to be the follower and just follow, which is an easier role for me in general. So being a leader, I think is super helpful. I do think it's important and benefits, quite frankly, every person in that classroom. Because again, it kind of takes away wherever ego or traditional role conditioning may step in and get in the way. So I like it, but it's like when you like exercise, like, okay, I have to practice this quality. And obviously the actual doing of it, the nuance of leading someone with as little obvious direction as possible. It's just definitely going to be something I'm going to work on forever. But I like that we do it. I like that you make us do it. And I like that everyone is doing it. So then we're all in the same boat.
Another thing that happens in a both roles class is that people can help each other because they have some sense of what their partner is trying to accomplish. They can puzzle it out together. At Alter, our classes were very chatty, but in a good way. As people came and went, they caught each other up with missed material and helped each other learn when switching roles. Here's Zarin again.
I mean, tango's challenging, so it's nice to have someone kind of lead the way and, help you out where, maybe you take a step too slow, you take a step too fast, or, like with me, a couple of moves were kind of had me a little stuck. So it was nice to have people walk me through it.
So things were going well, and the tango gods were smiling on us. But here's the thing about tango. It's not easy. There are no preset patterns or sequences. Instead, you learn a foundational structure upon which more complex elements are then built. There are specific skills required in order to achieve comfort and creative flow, for it to really feel like dancing. Like any other creative group activity, there's a tension between the social aspect and actually learning to dance. For this community, I really wanted both. How was I going to teach these people how to dance while still having a really good time? That would become my next big challenge. For now, I'm going to give Marisa the last word.
I really look forward to this, and I think if I had even some wonderful thing happen, like meeting a nice man, and he says, let's go out Wednesday, I'd say, no, I'm sorry, I have tango.
Special thanks to all the members of the Long Beach Tango community for their contributions to this story. You can find our schedule and free tango resources for teachers and organizers on my website, sharnafabiano.com/tango. Thanks to Glover Gill for providing music for this podcast. Thanks to Sachin Mehta for editorial support, and a huge thank you to Alter Society for their generous partnership. Alter is a craft brew pub, coffee roaster, and event space occupying a former Masonic temple in the heart of downtown Long Beach. Many vintage details of the building have been preserved, including the arched painted ceilings and ornate light fixtures. The original wood floors, exposed brick, and visible piping give the space an unfinished industrial loft aesthetic. If you are looking for a unique and elegant event space in Southern California, please reach out to Mike Cokley, General Manager, or join us for Tango and Pizza on Wednesday nights. You'll find contact information in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode or felt inspired by the story, please consider joining the Lead and Follow fan club with a contribution of as little as $3 a month. Your support really does make a difference.